think of your network as a, continuous improvement. Yeah. You can just go and continue and continue and continue. It very rarely hurts to have a too big network. If you are completely silent, how interesting will you be? Like, not so?
No. Hi and welcome to Railers Play. Today it's perhaps more important than ever to have a network, whether you have a job or are unemployed. When we can't meet as usual, we also need to maintain our network in a different way perhaps. But so how do I build up a network and how do I maintain it? I know a real expert on these matters, so welcome to Railers Play, Lisa Gunnarsson, head of LinkedIn for the Nordic regions.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you again. How have the pandemic affected you personally and LinkedIn as a company?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me here today. It's a real honor for me to be here. So the pandemic has been, I think, as for very many, a very special situation for both me and for LinkedIn as a company. We've been working at home since the beginning of March. So 100% working at home in all of our entities all over the globe. So for us, it's meant that we are now going through the biggest, probably virtual shift ever known to our company, at least. And I think, to say the least, we were quite digital before. But now we're going through a transformation of we're meeting both our members, our clients, our teams, and ourselves, maybe in a fully virtual environment, which is obviously positives, but also a lot of new challenges for us as a business. Yeah. And I guess for the business, it's been a big change in how we meet our members as well.
We're going to talk a lot about networks today, or networking. We are in the middle of a pandemic, as I began to say. How important is it to have a network right now, would you say?
So that's a very good question. I think that in order to understand that fully, it is going backwards in time to understand the background. Why do we have networks from start? And if you see how countries, like in the Middle Ages, would align between each other, it would be that you have a crown prince and a crown princess, and you would marry them to create alignment. At the same time, you would have villages that you align to take market share while selling your fruits and groceries. And at the same time, that's how the whole fundament of how EU was stated, is that we are stronger together than apart. So, and in relevance to Russia and to the Middle East and into US, it is the form of a EU as a network that makes us strong. And if you see on a company level, it's the reason why we merge, why we align to partnerships, why we create strategic alignments with other companies. It is to form a strength that gives us competitive advantage to the rest of the companies on the market. And when it comes to self, I would say it's exactly the same. It gives us safety when we need that. It gives us progression when we need that. It makes us survive stronger as humans and individuals. You can actually make a couple of comparisons as for an individual, when you can see that you have your network could be like your climbing tree. It could be the way that you, when in flow, when you're in your career, and you can get help. You can, take different ways, different lines, depending on the support that you can get from your network. The network will help you learn and progress, and you will kind of find your way up to the top. But it could also be your safety net when you fall back. Like for many now during the pandemic, it's been a massive change to how maybe some have lost their jobs, some are still at risk. So it can be your safety net to kind of give you the support that you need.
So you can rely on your network in some kind of way?
Exactly, you can rely on your network. Yeah. And in the best of cases, a network can also be a really strong trampoline, that can give you just a push that you need to get into different new spaces.
If I don't have a network and I don't have a profile on LinkedIn, where do I start?
I think the best place to start is to create a first profile. It's just like you would create a profile on any other social platform. That's kind of being in the network or not being in it. Do you want to be visible or do you want to be invisible? And I think that the first thing is to create your profile, go in, sign in. It's free of charge. It's for every member. You get it very far away on just having a freemium membership. I would recommend, if you only have a few minutes, to put in a good photo that gives the world a perception of who you are as a professional. And then I would put a short summary of who you are, maybe just 5-7 sentences, and just a resume of these are the companies, organizations I've worked for, and this is what I've done and the results I've accomplished.
So I don't have to be that detailed. I don't have to write down every single experience I have, or do you think it's good?
Well, I would say you have 3-5 minutes Do that first,
Yeah.
because that means at least you are available to the market. Then in the next phase, I think that if you want to be really in the market today, yes, you should probably put a little bit more time into your profile and then make it more interesting. I would then start for like, what is your goal? Like, what's your career goal? Is your goal to maybe be promoted, get to next steps within your company? Then you should probably first work on the network you have within your company.
Yeah.
Is it that you need to learn new things in order to be successful, either in your company or outside? Then you probably need to extend and work on the network both inside and outside to understand what you need to learn in order to be relevant. It's like, think of yourself as if you were an individual contributor, like a contractor. What do you need to learn and what do you need to do and what's a network you need to have to be successful, as if you were actually sending an invoice every month.
But a lot of us are quite shy. We don't want to brag about ourselves. It's a Nordic, kind of way to live.
Yeah.
But how should we think? Is it okay to brag about myself and say that I'm good at this and I'm good at that?
In your profile, I mean? I think we need to be clear. Clear and transparent. Like, these are my strengths. And, people who use LinkedIn for finding other people are genuinely interested of you. They're not very interested of what you're not good at. No. They're interested of what you are good at. And so I think a little bit, maybe not bragging, but at least like honesty, like, these are my strengths. This is what I am. This is what I have performed and what I haven't done.
Okay, so I get an account and I write down the most important things.
Yeah.
And so how do I make my network grow?
Well, first of all, I would again start with kind of what's my goal with my network? What is it that I want to support within my career? So, if you would be you had a dream about starting a flower shop in Gothenburg or in Oslo, you would probably want to connect with people who have done this before. So you would search for people who have started a flower shop before. If you want to learn about AI or digital tools within a certain engineering segment that you're working in, you would probably be able to search on people that have that qualification on LinkedIn and maybe connect and ask for mentorship. You can also search for courses on LinkedIn that are available for people to learn. So there's an enormous amount of things you can bring forward, but start with where you're going and what you want to do. Then on connection, my absolute recommendation is to connect with people who you think can help you in your career. So if I had a aspiration to get better on maybe doing speeches or doing these kind of live productions, I would probably contact you. And ask, like, could you help me with this? And if you had time, you would probably be open to a connection. The core thing to remember is actually two things. Maybe that is, people connect all the time. Don't be worried. Ask. The worst you can get is no. Like, lots of people ask both professionally and privately, both on dinners and on, like everywhere people connect. And I guess the other thing which is important is just to think of your network as a, continuous improvement. You can just go and continue and continue and continue. It very rarely hurts to have a too big network.
Unemployment will continue to rise. A lot of people compete for the same jobs right now and will continue to do so for a year perhaps, or maybe even longer. How do I stand out?
On LinkedIn, on the platform?
Yeah.
So I think
in this competition.
In this competition, I think first is like knowing your brand and knowing how you want to be perceived. So build your profile. It is a digital platform. It's like Match.com if you want. Like, you need to put a bit of effort in how do you want to be perceived on the platform. If you would be doing dating app, you would put a lot of effort on how you want to be perceived on the dating world. And this is on your professional platform. So this is your face out to nearly 10 million people in Nordics. So like, how do you want to be perceived at your professional, own person? So I would put some time and effort into kind of building your profile out, a little bit more than 3 to 5 minutes. Then I would kind of stand out is connections. Like, see that you start connecting with people. See it as a long-term project. You don't have to do this and be completed in a week. No. It's an ongoing. I connect with people every week. So kind of try to build that out and then start engaging on the platform. Lots of people turn to me and say, like, my feed is so boring. And I go, well, that's because you're not engaging, because the entire feed is built on what you're engaging with on the platform. So it's an AI-driven robotics on behind. So the more you kind of like things, the more you share things, the more you comment on things, the more the AI on the background learns who you are and what you're interested of. And it will show you even more material of what you're keen to learn about.
That's a good advice.
Yeah. So if you have a boring feed, that's what you need to do. Yeah. And it's also that the more you give, the more you post things, the more you write things, the computer also learns what it is that you want to see more of. So it's a true like give to get. So if you're like thinking again that you're around this fire space with your dream network, if you're completely silent, how interesting will you be? Like not so.
No.
It's the first thing we talk to on leadership courses is like own your seat at the table. Yeah. You've been given this seat, so own it. It's the same thing in a digital network. You've been given this seat. It's now up to you what you do with it. So it's give to get. And the more you engage, the more you like, the more you share, the more you also write on things, the more will you get interaction back. So it's exactly the same. You become more interesting for your network. The more you contribute, the more you get back.
A lot of us work from home, as you mentioned. Many are laid off and unemployed. Are we using LinkedIn in a different way than before? Do you see any new patterns?
Yes and no. Yeah. So we see that our members are a lot more engaged. They are spending longer time on LinkedIn learning. They're spending more time networking, like connecting with people. I think also it's different, but it is the same. It is what people always have done on LinkedIn. We connect with others. We're there to learn. We give to get. We read and we support others. Lots of companies who have been through bigger transformations have been working their networks a lot in order to find a good kind of foundation for growth again. Do you think we use LinkedIn in different ways in the Nordic countries? We did. For a long time, Denmark, who is also part of the Nordics, was actually one of the first countries in the world to have more LinkedIn profiles than actually people working in the market. Oh, this is crazy. Strange. Yeah. Then Sweden caught up quickly. Finland was like slow, and then explosion. And then Norway still keeping up. So right now we have a quite even number of sessions and kind of member engagement all over Nordics. Nordics is often seen to be, if the US is Silicon Valley, we're Silicon Forest. So we're kind of seen to be this very tech-savvy small region by all of the big tech companies. A place where you can have nearly all the global complexity, but still a very tech-savvy place. So you can try new features here and test things, which is often quite good for us. Yeah. So the Nordic region is a quite active region. Yes. And we're quite the same. We use it quite the same. Yeah. Lisa, thank you so much for a lot of good advices. Well, thank you. Networking is important. Thank you so much for having me today. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, that's it for today. See you soon.